All right, welcome everyone to our webinar today on student voice, student choice, collaborative methods for school menu change. My name is Dinah Mack. I'm the Education Program Manager with Massachusetts Farm to School. If you're not familiar with Mass Farm to School, thank you so much for joining us today. We are an organization that works statewide to strengthen local farms and fisheries and promote healthy communities by increasing local food purchasing and education at schools. There's a lot of ways you can get involved with the work we do at Mass Farm to School, such as joining us for these professional learning opportunities. We host networking events throughout the year. We do a lot of work with policy and advocacy, and we have some great newsletters, including our Harvest of the Month program and other informational newsletters that go out. So please stay in touch with us. I'm very excited for today's workshop, and I'm excited to introduce our two speakers today. We have Carly Dunn, who is the Student Engagement Manager with Homegrown Springfield. Carly has worked with youth age 5 to 18 for 7 years and in school nutrition for 3 years. She uses her youth development experience to develop resources and student learning opportunities in an effort to reduce the student hunger gap in Springfield Public Schools. And Jeffrey Bernard is a procurement specialist with Homegrown Springfield. Jeffrey has over 25 years of experience in the food services industry, working in the private, healthcare, and public sectors for organizations like Hasbro and Yukon Health. Jeff serves as a procurement specialist with Homegrown Springfield, Sodexo, and Springfield Public Schools, helping source high-quality local products for our students. So if you have any questions during this presentation, the Q&A is open, and I will be checking that. And so please put your questions there, and there'll be time at the end for you to ask Carly and Jeffrey some questions. All right, you have the floor, you two.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and thank you for coming and joining to talk about students and how we engage with students, especially as pertains to local procurement. Again, like Dinah said, my name is Carly Dunn. I'm the Student Engagement Manager for Homegrown Springfield Sodexo. I am a graduate of Springfield Public Schools. I'm born and raised in Springfield as well, so it helps to know the area that I'm serving. I have years of experience in working with ages 5 to 18. I used recreational activities and project-based learning to develop social and emotional skills with young people. So now at Homegrown Springfield, I help develop student engagement programming for students in Springfield Public Schools. In joining a large team like this, we are dedicated to serving over 29,000 students each day, and I help to project those students' voices into their school menus and champion their efforts to take active roles in their school communities. My colleague, Jeffrey Bernard, is here with us as well. Jeff, I don't know if you wanted to share any other bits and pieces about yourself. I know Dinah definitely introduced us pretty well, so I don't know if you wanted to add on, but I'll give you a few seconds.
Oh, she hit it right on. Again, thank you. And any questions, just let us know and we're here to help.
Absolutely. All right. So here at Homegrown Springfield, we make it our mission to eliminate student hunger by increasing the quality, sustainability, and efficiency of the child nutritional programs in our schools and community. Our team is committed to increasing food quality, increasing student meal participation, and expanding student learning opportunities for our students. Now, in keeping with a welcoming, safe space for students to offer their true and honest opinions, all our student feedback remains anonymous. We understand it can be challenging for students to share their food preferences, so we offer a variety of methods to both invite and collect their constructive feedback. We're always evaluating our processes and best practices in efforts to protect the integrity of all of our programs, and student engagement is no different. We evaluate our student engagement initiatives on the following 3 pillars that you'll see on the screen here: relationships, student experience, and consistency. In using these program evaluation tools to build trusting relationships with our students, we can identify trends among all Springfield Public Schools and reflect their preferences on their school menus. So from taste tests to new menu items featuring locally sourced ingredients, we will touch on a variety of our initiatives that allow our students to comfortably share their thoughts. Particularly, we will use the 3 pillars of student engagement here to take a glance at one of our most recent initiatives in Springfield, thanks largely in part to our local partnership with One Mighty Mill in Lynn, Massachusetts. But before we dive in, we're going to take a closer look at our local procurement efforts to date. Next slide, please, Dinah. Okay, Homegrown Springfield Sodexo is on a mission to reduce the student hunger gap in Springfield Public Schools, and placing importance on serving quality meals each day is proven to enhance student meal participation at school. Our strategy is to keep our conversations with students open all the time, so we always have a tab open on their preferences. In keeping with that sentiment, our student engagement team works closely with our culinary, procurement, and operations teams to ensure student feedback is relayed and analyzed against our menu development initiatives. Over 85% of our breakfast entrees and 40% of our lunch menu items are made from scratch right here in our Culinary and Nutrition Center on Cadwell Drive in Springfield, and taste tested for approval by SPS students themselves. Further, we believe that our meals are better for Springfield students, the local economy, and the environment by investing in higher quality products. We can buy higher quality items and ingredients when we have more robust participation rates in our meal programs. So improving student meal participation ensures students eat healthier school meals. I am going to now pass it along to Jeff to talk a little bit more about the map you see here.
Okay, so each year we have a goal of purchasing local foods. Last year, our goal was 22%, and we surpassed it to 25.3%. This year, our goal is 24%, with the full intent to surpass that goal this year. We have daily menu options using local food products with the map shown here. Let's talk about some of the local companies that we are using. Partnered with the Kendall Foundation and One Mighty Mill, we have previously launched One Mighty Mill bagel at breakfast time. These bagels are 3 different flavors. We have plain, everything, and cinnamon raisin. This school year, we expanded our partnership with, sorry. I lost my spot. This school year, we expanded our partnership and enhanced the lunch program with a stone milled flour pizza crust made exclusively for Springfield schools. This crust is made with wheat berries that we have farmed in New England farms. We also have Mia Tierra. They are a corn tortilla from local farms. One of the great things about Mia Tierra is it's right behind one of our Springfield schools, which is Central High School on Bay Street. So they're literally steps away from the high school. We serve garden salads with different varieties of salads, and that's on a daily menu with the Springfield students with our little leaf lettuce from Devon's, Mass. One of the last local companies to highlight is Jeff's Granola. We purchased granola from Jeff's, and it is used in a few different applications in our school for breakfast and snack programs. Jeff's Granola then donates 10% of the annual proceeds with our sales to our weekend backpack program. We then send the bags of self-stabled food home for our students so they can have meals throughout the weekend.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Like Jeff was saying, our student engagement team, we have a lot of different facets of our organization, and in working together, we are able to do much larger and conduct much larger initiatives throughout the city. Our student engagement team uses surveys, taste tests, and other interactions with students to discern and develop trends throughout Springfield Public Schools, which heightens our understanding of students' preferences over time. We understand students' opinions change as they get older, and so do their interests. In keeping our cycle of communication open that you see on the screen here, we can conduct better and more informed pulse checks with the community we serve each day. We found that the approach shown by this cycle instills trust in our students and further enables heightened program engagement. So as a result, we not only have a closer ear to how students talk about school meals, but we show them our capability to deliver on their requests. So To date, 20% of Springfield Public Schools students choose not to participate in our breakfast and lunch programs at school each day. So as a part of our mission to reduce the student hunger gap, we continue to place top priority in building relationships with our students and consequently enabling healthy relationships between students and local foods. So let's start discussing how we bring an idea to fruition and include students in the process. Next slide, please. So at Homegrown Springfield, we understand quite a few things about our students. One, the key to building relationships is in telling our story. Secondly, so we have a responsibility to develop menus that are reflective of our students and community. The more students we can recognize by face or name, the more comfortable they and their peers feel comfortable to approach us. We always learn more and more through each and every student interaction, and our student interactions happen in person. They happen digitally via social media. We're always keeping a tab on our students. You'll see that on the screen here. We have a couple different stats in the Our Community section. So we're going to talk about that now, but we're going to talk about it in the eyes of a student and the point of view of a student. So students want to be able to feel comfortable enough to share their honest opinion without expressing any thoughts that may come off as quote unquote critical or not positive. We help start conversations with students about school meals and local foods with 3 key reassurances. Firstly, we remind students in every conversation that every thought shared is received free of judgment and offense. We do not get hurt by feedback that's received. We're merely a vessel to report the community feedback. The second is our constant presence. We always mention that we'll return to the school that we're at, and we actually do return, even if it's just to pop in or do a quick post check, because we believe that showing a second time, we usually get comments of, "Oh, you actually did come back." So that's always a great piece of feedback to hear. But lastly, and sometimes most importantly, is that ethos, or what students like to fondly call humble brags. When we credit local products sourced within Massachusetts, across New England and New York, and even our scratch-made products made here in Springfield, it enhances the way students conceptualize where their school foods come from. Our team is largely made up of Springfield residents, Springfield parents, Springfield Public Schools graduates like myself, even some that were born and raised in Springfield, and we help make up the community that we serve. So we always mention this because we know our students value when we mirror their passion about Springfield. We have seen this best in our hands-on experiences, so we're going to dive a little bit into that case study that we talked about earlier. Like Jeff said originally, we've had a partnership with One Mighty Mill in Lynn, Massachusetts, that uses stone milled flour made from wheat in New England. But we started off that partnership with bagels, and we had 3 different flavors of bagels during breakfast time, but we decided to work with One Mighty Mill again to transform pizza crust at lunchtime. Scratch-made pizza crust started with stone mills grinding local wheat into whole grain flour, and 5th grade students from Kensington Elementary School visited the Culinary and Nutrition Center for a full facility tour and thorough hands-on experience, where they got to learn how to grind flour, mix dough, and make pizza from scratch last June. One of our talented chefs, Andrew Hall, developed a scratch-made pizza sauce for the new pizza, and during lunchtime taste tests, the samples received an overwhelming 98% student approval rating, which we'll talk about in a few moments. This new pizza has been phased already into schools, primarily secondary schools, throughout the fall and into the winter, but we'll talk about why we do that phased approach a few slides from now. In addition to that, though, students often share their fond memories of homemade recipes and home-cooked meals, their favorite dishes, creative ideas that they have to add to the menus that they see each day. So we want to make sure we harness that and we fuel that recipe sharing and information sharing that we talked about in the last slide. We host 2 student recipe competitions each year, one called Future Chefs for our elementary students, and they compete for a chance to get a prize and that first place bragging rights. But in tangent tandem with that, excuse me, we have our Stir It Up Springfield competition, which is for our secondary schools, our 6th to 12th grade schools. And with that, it's a little bit more elevated. The student who is able to win that competition and their recipe reigns first place with our judging panel, they're able to, we transform that into a USDA compliant meal, and we serve it on the line the year next. So we are looking forward to our Stir It Up Springfield champion. Her name is Charlotte Kosmierski. She's now a junior at Central High School. Her excellent sandwich is going to be an inspired dish on the lunch menu in February. But we also want to shout out our Future Chefs champion, Jawad Lavender. He was a 5th grader last year at Boland, and he made zucchini fries, which were delicious. We tried to make sure that our Future Chefs champions are always, we always give them a nod. So we're going to try an inspired dish at some point, but it is a way to get them into our kitchen and even into our facility to take a look at what we really do and how our volume of what we do. We're going to move on to our next slide and talk about our second engagement pillar, which is the student experience. Allowing our students to always have avenues to contact us and view our menus aids in enhancing the student experience even before they see their breakfast and lunch meals. We recognize that robust student engagement programming increases familiarity in our brand and also the local products we serve. So that's why we incorporate print and digital technology that allows students to plan ahead and know what to expect each day. So to take a look at the left-hand side, downloadable on the app and Play Store, students and families share that Meal Viewer app has made school menus more convenient and informative for a variety of reasons. We include our scratch-made, locally sourced, plant-based, and vegetarian logos to identify the menu items and to further identify how wide our variety of options are each day. Our menus are specific to each student's school, which we mention to our students and our families all the time. So if a menu is to change specific to one school within the city, our kitchen team has the capability to update it in real time to the menu before students even see the change on the lunch line. So we get very excited about that. We're also connecting with students through digital avenues to break down that social barrier and foster student connection. We're constantly telling our community that we evolve with our students. So delivering messages in this way helps to connect that. We also heighten our presence on social media too. We have Instagram primarily for our students and Facebook for our families, so we can kind of cater our messages to the audiences that we have. Our senior interns, we had 2 interns from Central High School last summer that helped us refresh our Instagram page and help it make our delivery, a little bit more efficient, and they offered some best tips, best practices on how to engage with students via reels and posts and stories. But making students a part of optimizing the experience contributes to the project-based learning that Springfield Public Schools is passionate about through their Portrait of a Graduate program, but it also gives students the autonomy and comfortability to buy back into our programs. So since we're diving into the One Mighty Mill, we did survey over 1,000 SPS students with the new pizza last school year before it made it onto the service line. So we had a little bit of pre-satisfaction testing to see if it was good enough or what adjustments needed to be made before we put it on the menu officially. Now, the new pizza in Springfield Public Schools returned a 98% student approval rating, so we were very excited about that. But we wanted to also pay respect to the fact that the larger the sample size is, the better for us. Like I said in the beginning, we serve over 29,000 students. So we like to take large sample sizes to get the most detailed and accurate feedback so students know they're being represented as best as possible. While this taste test and our satisfaction surveys return over 1,000 student submissions, we usually host taste tests for an entire school population at a time. There's a variety in grade levels, opinions, and numbers, and we find merit in that every time. One Mighty Mill pizza crust was overwhelmingly approved by students. But to tie in that student experience portion, we celebrated the new pizza lunch in October at Commerce High School. And honestly, other secondary schools within the district, but primarily at Commerce High School, we had print and digital displays of promotions. We had One Mighty Mill team members come by and sample some bagels with our students, while our students were simultaneously in that line grabbing a slice of pizza. We had SPS faculty there. We had Homegrown Springfield Sodexo leadership in attendance, but we banded together to really show the excitement of new developments on the menu, because it definitely heightens the excitement within our students as well. It also makes us more approachable to our students, the more intentional programming we have like this. So I think the biggest key takeaway from our student experience side is really making it a point to dress up an event or a new initiative and survey every time. The more we survey, the more accurate the results. We conducted post-service surveys as well. So we bookended surveys on each part of the development process, so that we know from start to finish where students are satisfied and what adjustments we can make now that it's officially on the line. But great, we're going to move on to the next slide and go over the last engagement pillar, which is the consistency portion. And this is something that we are very passionate about, but we take very seriously in our student engagement department. At Homegrown Springfield, we understand, again, that students' opinions will change over time, and that's why we're committed to using the relationships we've built to reflect our community and our food products. It's our responsibility to teach students and families about the products we serve to them, so they're able to make informed choices both in and outside of the lunchroom. We want every student to return again. We want them to take a meal tomorrow. We want them to fill out another survey next week. So to bolster trust with our students, we conduct both paper and digital meal general satisfaction surveys all year round. We're using this display of tracking and reporting data so students can realize how we bring information back to our larger team. For example, in taking a closer look at our One Mighty Mill Pizza initiative, we conducted post-service surveys, like we talked about, that collected the thoughts of students who tried a slice right from the lunch line. Now, we understood that we found pretty quickly that students in post-service had a variety of different thoughts, which kind of differed from our taste testing, our menu development phase. This isn't surprising to us, and we know to expect this when we have things go on to the menu officially, because with any new meal, especially a student favorite like pizza, we know students are going to have a variety of thoughts to share, whether they like the new development or they don't like the new development. So we used phased approaches when rolling out large initiatives for this purpose. We want to work out those first round of constructive feedback kinks before we expand new meals across the city full-fledged. So we trust our students to offer their most honest thoughts during this process on behalf of their peers. We also want to talk quickly about how a lot of these initiatives don't happen within one day or a week or even a month. Particularly on One Mighty Mill initiative took the better part of a whole school year to develop and test and go back. So we try to tell our students a lot that low and slow is what to expect, especially when it's bigger initiatives like changing an entire menu item. But some things, which we'll talk about in a second, is that we have some of our initiatives are a little bit quicker, and we can do them within a short span of time. So you'll see that under that student voice, student choice section, there is a little flyer that says new because of you. And that flyer was made because we had a group of 9th grade students from our Renaissance High School last year that did a research project throughout the entire school year and counted out, researched, went through trash bins to discover that we were wasting a whole bunch of styrofoam trays, and their concern was the environment and the carbon footprint that we're creating, especially as pertains to their school campus. So they requested to talk to us. They sent us letters. They put together a presentation, and we responded. We completely understand where they're coming from. We had a few conversations about the capabilities that we have, what with reusable trays and compostable trays, biodegradable trays, and we talked about the different volumes of each and consistencies. So we were able to turn around, assess our capabilities, and launch compostable trays on the service line at Renaissance campus in November, and we started talking to them last June. So that it was a pretty tight turnaround with that, but it was because of our capabilities. Now, we care for our students a lot. We care about them enough to only promise what we know we can deliver. And so we don't make promises straight out in that first meeting. When we prioritize students' trust, we help protect the integrity of our programs, but also the relationships we built with students. So we don't promise anything too early, and we often don't make promises at all. We try to make regular visits to develop that consistency and instill trust within our students. But we also understand that that transparency part is crucial. So when we can't deliver on something and we say, I promise I'll get there, and we're not able to deliver, it automatically brings that trust down a degree. So we try to protect our students in that regard and field feedback and be receivers first, and then come back after we've talked to our content experts and other departmental experts within the team to see what we can really do and accomplish. But we've been able to accomplish so much already, what with just all of the communication and that communication cycle that we have with our community. And we make it our mission to elevate students' voices. So celebrating student successes like this is incredible, and it's really moving for people that are passionate about the program. Our eye is always toward getting and gearing our students for adulthood, so making sure that we have recognizable flavors out there and products, and showing, yes, we make salads with little leaf lettuce, and you can get that at the grocery store. One Mighty Milk bagels you can get at Big Y. We're understanding that we're building strong relationships, not only with our local vendors and our students, but we're enabling our students to make more informed decisions when shopping for food and creating that relationship for them. So yes, we just a last tidbit before we move on and just go to our additional resources. We have already collected over 1,500 student surveys to date this school year. And that's just through in-person conversations, paper and digital surveys, social media, taste tests themselves. We make sure that the volume of surveys reflects the amount that we're going out into schools, and we always want to have a question for a student. We're always wondering what they're talking about in the lunch line, and letting us, what I like to say to our students is, you don't have to champion the program just yet, but open the door for the conversation. And the more that we keep that door open and we're always present, we're approachable, we celebrate successes, the more our students are apt to share and be more involved and buy back into our program. So thank you for listening to us today. We're going to give you a couple more additional resources for us in the next slide. If you'd like to learn more about our stone milling process, or One Mighty Mill's stone milling process, you can go to onemightymil.com. They're also on Instagram, and they do post a lot of great reels that are pretty informative about their process and what they do and why they do it. If you want to learn more about our programs at Homegrown Springfield, you can go to homegrownspringfield.org, and then Mass Farm to School, massfarmtoschool.org is always available as well. We do want to do a quick shout out to our team at Homegrown Springfield, Sodexo, and Springfield Public Schools. Our team members work long hours, work very hard to serve just about 30,000 students every single day. So we're very proud, and we thank them for everything that they do each day. And then the next slide has just a little bit more contact information. It has information for me and Jeff. So if you have more questions about local procurement, feel free to contact Jeff at his email. And then more about student engagement initiatives, what we do on the student engagement side, shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer any questions or share any resources. But last and not least, Facebook and Instagram at Homegrown SPS. Take a look at what we do, our reels, our videos. We always answer our inbox. So if you have a quick question, or if Springfield Public School students have a quick question, we're always online and ready to connect. So Thank you so much for letting us share our best practices today.
Wow, thank you so much. Does anyone who's here have any questions or comments that you want to put in the Q&A section? We can see what's on people's minds, or feedback, or did anything come up while you were listening?
Yes.
We will be sending out this slide deck, which has the contact information and a recording also of this session that you could share with people also that you think might be interested in this topic. But we do have some Q&As coming in.
Okay.
All right, we have, thank you, Carly and Jeff. I came in late in the presentation. It sounds like you've added composted trays to one location. Is there a plan to expand to other schools?
Great question. Yes, we do have plans in the future to expand our compostable trays. Like we've talked about, it is what we consider a large initiative. So with that being said, we're phasing it in. We're testing it right now, seeing how it's working and their even their durability per se. So we got to do some more testing to survey with our students how they feel. But the goal is always to expand when we have a positive return from that. We always look at the next step for us. So yes, great question.
We have another comment that says, wonderful job. Little shout out to you. Another question, how are Putnam vocational students incorporated into Homegrown Springfield? Do you work with co-op students at all?
That's another great question. While we do not have, we don't work with the co-op just yet, we do have our student internship program. And like I said before, in the summertime, we had our Central High School students. They worked on the admin side, so they worked more in the office with us and the human resources team. But Putnam students, we had 2 Putnam interns in the springtime, I believe, and they worked in our culinary and nutrition center. So they were able to go back and work in our cook chill section, our catering section, our processing section. They've been able to have a little bit of experience in each part of our facility. So we do we're continuing to develop that internship program as we go on over time, but we found that it was a great return. They also received $1,000 scholarships for their time with us because they were graduating seniors and continuing their education. So through the internship program, they were able to receive a scholarship to continue school.
How did you get, just to follow up, how was that funded?
Good question. I believe it's through SPS, but I would have to defer to my operations director for that answer. I can get an answer for you for that, but
that's fantastic. All right, you got another shout out. Shout out to the presenters for an informative, engaging presentation. Thanks, Carly. And a question. When and how are the surveys usually done? We find that the students hardly have time with their curriculum and time allocated to lunch, so we would appreciate any insights.
Yes, so we also navigate through certain challenges sometimes, especially when it comes to even after the bell. We do after the bell programs. We do our weekend back. So we have like a constant need to get information. And so dependent on the time, we do try to finagle as much as we can. So for breakfast and lunch surveys specifically, even when we're talking about taste tests, we often will go in during that service time, and usually we'll just check in with the office, check in with the principal if it's necessary, but we'll dive right in and we'll go right up to tables and say, hey, do you mind taking the survey really quick? We just had a general survey too that we closed out. My marketing manager and I went out to Kylie Middle School, and before they even got to the tables, we put a couple of surveys out on the table. They got curious. They're like, what's paper doing on the table? And then they're like, oh, I got an opinion. And they're just they're honest, right? So we found that that was effective as well. We try to stick our surveys within that service time just so that we don't interrupt class time as much. But when teachers invite us into their classroom or as part of a lesson or as part of a project, we try to get the ball rolling as much as possible. We did just have another invite from one of our teachers that we've been talking to since last year, asking us to come in on Friday, and yes, I'm ready to go. I will make time. So we just want to make sure that we're approachable no matter when our school faculty is available and our students are available. But we always we try to concentrate it during those service times.
Great, thanks. Another question for you. Besides pizza, what are the top local menu items right now?
That's a great question. Chicken nuggets are always something that they love. It's the classic student favorites. When it comes to locally sourced items, pizza is a big one right now. We're starting to see another incline on the pizzas. At first, again, like we talked about, we had a variety of opinions, but we're starting to see that on the up and up again. They love the pastas and they like to have the option between a red sauce and a white sauce. So we scratch make both of those sauces so that they can have the option to choose. Garden salads are also a big thing, especially with our older students who are in clubs or in athletics. So a lot of our fast takes with secondary schools are popular.
Great. Another question. Have you seen an increase in student interest of plant-based foods? If so, are you incorporating more options or do you have plans in the works?
We definitely have student interest in plant-based foods. Absolutely. And we are starting to conceptualize that through surveys. So it's interesting that we have this question right now because we're finalizing a plant-based survey currently. We're looking forward to distributing that survey among our primary and secondary schools, but in our survey, we're identifying which menu items. Is it a quinoa bowl? Is it more of like more varieties of salads and stuff like that? So we are looking at expanding our plant-based menu, but also showing that it's always available on our service line. We're excited for those new developments, but there's always there's always a population that merits us to expand our menu. We just had this same conversation with more halal meals last year. So we explore different things each year and as information gets reported to us, but plant-based is definitely popular right now. Plant-based, vegetarian, students are increasingly getting more interested in those.
It'll be very interesting, Carly, to see your survey. I'd be curious.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can definitely share some insight with you once we roll it out and get some info.
Are there any other questions that people might have? Doing the last call for the Q&A. Oh, Jeff, do you have favorite vendors you work with?
Good question.
They're all good. And I know that sounds cheesy, but all the vendors that we work with, all the local people are very nice. They want to they want to see a difference in the schools. They want the kids to get good nutritional value, and they want to do the right thing. So it's always good to see that they make the extra effort to work in. And all the local vendors that we use are great.
They are great. I talk about Jeff's granola a lot, just because of that the contribution to the backpack program. It's such a wholesome turnaround, and I love mentioning that to our families.
And I see that. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeffrey, go ahead.
No, I see the next question about as far as deliveries, times,
yeah.
and schedules. So a lot of our vendors, because we have the the CNC in the warehouse, we are able to do direct deliveries. So a lot of them that's how we get the deliveries in. And then sometimes, if it's a quick local down the street, we even use our warehouse team to go pick it up and bring it to our warehouse. So we do what we can to make it easier for everyone. And but definitely having the warehouse is something that makes it a lot easier for us to then spread it throughout the school system.
I will add on really quick to that too. For the student engagement piece to that, we are prideful of that that relationship and having the CNC, like Jeff said. I think you said it beautifully in that we have the capability to do the direct delivery, and it's for a multitude of reasons, but one of the other things that we often don't think about is that there's less traffic going in and out of schools. We don't have 7 or 8 vendors popping up at the back door of a school each day. We don't have multiple deliveries that are encompassing the entire day and opening and closing doors. So it's a huge safety piece that we are we're very serious about. All of our drivers and warehouse personnel, even our admin, our frontline, we're all background checked. So it's just that extra piece of safety, but it's also that we're able to be more efficient with our fuel, our travel time, and everything. So we're very proud of that part.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments or feedback? Oh, this is a really interesting question. Is there any resistance to change in general from anyone?
There right now, and I feel like a lot of people here understand there's a stigma with school food and school meals, and there's not always a trust that, yes, we are making your food in Springfield. Until students and families visually see the Culinary Nutrition Center, it can be challenging at times to impress that sentiment on our community. So I always have videos in my phone ready to show and let them know, hey, this is where your meatballs are being scratch made. When it comes to change and menu development, we do have a healthy amount of resistance, but when we do, in telling our story, a lot of those change very quickly. For example, the pizza is a great thing. One Mighty Mill has allowed us to go from using a frozen pizza that has over 20 ingredients in it down to a pizza crust with 7 ingredients in it. No preservatives. We're hand making the pizza in the kitchen now. We're not just putting it from box to freezer to oven. There's a lot more that goes with a menu change. And once we tell that part of the story to our students, to our community members, they receive it a lot differently. It's a lot more of a positive change. But of course, with any change, our brains aren't trained to change. So it's sometimes it can be challenging to start those conversations, but once we get through that piece and down to the end, it's always wow, I can't even believe that, and it's great to be able to change a mind like that.
Great,
That
thank
was
you.
a good question. That was a really good question.
That was a really interesting answer.
Thanks.
Any last questions? Well, we're so thankful for everyone for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today. And Jeffrey and Carly, thank you so much for taking time out of your work to come share your passion and your interest and enthusiasm. And it really comes through your work. and your care of your students and what you're doing. It just really shines through. So thank you for being so generous with your time to teach here and share. And if anyone has further questions, you see Jeffrey and Carly's emails will be on the slide deck, and we'll be sending that out to you probably tomorrow along with the video. And so please share that and get in touch with Jeffrey and Carly if you have any other questions.
Thank you very much. Dinah, we appreciate it a lot. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and thanks everyone for joining us. And have a great day.